On the News Hour tonight, 5 rescued, 9 dead in Zamara boat tragedy. Borno warns against eating vegetables from flooded, contaminated areas. Fuel hike forces car owners to abandon vehicles. And on the international scene, Bamako airport closed after gunmen attack police base. Very good evening and welcome to the News Hour on Trust Television. My name is Sagir Ibrahim. To details now, 5 persons have been rescued and 9 bodies recovered from the boat accident that occurred on Sunday in Mashar Yandaga River in Gumi local government area of Zamfara State. A statement by National Emergency Management Agency's Manzo Ezekiel on Tuesday said the boat involved in the accident was carrying over 40 passengers, mostly farmers and crewmen, when it capsized as a result of overload and high river current. The statement was released after NEMA, through its Sokoto Operation Office in conjunction with the Zamfara State Emergency Management Agency, Gumi local government authorities, community leaders, the Red Cross, and other stakeholders involved in the operation assessed the disaster. Following the accident, rescuers consisting mostly of local divers and fishermen were mobilized and managed to rescue 5 alive. According to NEMA, 9 bodies of passengers have been recovered so far, while search and rescue operations is continuing. Other passengers comprising men, women and children remain unaccounted for. Communities situated downstream along the river channel have been alerted to help in looking out for bodies that may later float to their locations. And earlier on the news, we spoke to Daily Trust Regional Editor Ishaw Adamu. He gives an update on the development.
Well, like you have rightly said, is a boat mishap that occurred in Gumi local government. But there are some mix-up in the story because it's 2 incidences that happened. One in Gumi town and the other in Nasarawa Kipi.
Okay.
So the discovery of the corpse was on the second incidence, where 5 corpses were recovered today. But I have called 3 people in Gumi town regarding the first incidence to find out whether they have recovered any corpse. But up till this today, nobody is recovered, and there's no corpse that also recovered on the in the river. They have searched severally, but they could not find any corpse. But for the second incident, it was confirmed that 5 corpses have been recovered.
Okay, Ishaw, can you speak to us about the safety of boat transport in Gumi local government, and speak to whether any investigation is going to be carried out in order to sanction those who are responsible for ensuring the safety of boat transportation for citizens who use it on a daily basis?
Well, the complaint the people have been doing is that these boats have been used for several years. And this year's rainy season, we have witnessed heavy rainfall in some parts of the country. So they have been complaining that they need modern boats. In fact, one of the elders I spoke with, he said they have lodged their complaints through the local government authorities in order to get modern boats, but nothing is forthcoming on the part of government. Secondly, the Serking Gumi, Justice Lawal Gumi, has sent his representative to Gumi, to the area where this incident happened, to find out the causes and possible solutions to the problem. One of the captains that I spoke with, he confirmed to me that there is much needed intervention from the government. That one, they should control the passengers because they have their own problem.
Okay.
The boats are not many, so anytime there is availability of a boat, everybody will say he must join that boat. That is what is causing the overload problem. So they need to have at least a committee that will control the passengers, because the captains have no power to control people that are using the boats. So he's advising that the local government authority, in collaboration with the traditional institution, should provide a committee that is going to regulate how these captains are going to operate and how many people should be carried on the boats. So he assured that if government and the traditional rulers can come in that respect, definitely they will minimize such incidences in the area.
Isha Adamu, regional editor of the Daily Trust, giving update on the boat mishap in Gumi in Zamara State. And to the northeast now, the Borno State government has warned residents against buying vegetables from areas affected by flood, saying such edibles have been contaminated with dead bodies, sewage, and other harmful chemicals. The Ministry of Information and Internal Security, in a statement posted on its verified Facebook page on Tuesday, urged people to abide by warning to avoid diseases and other health crises. The ministry urged the residents to prioritize their health and safety during this challenging time, stating that nearly 500,000 people have been displaced and more than 1 million affected by flood that recently submerged several parts of Maiduguri, the Borno State capital as well. The flood, described as the worst in the state in 30 years, resulted from the collapse of Alo Dam due to high rainfalls. The disaster also killed about 80% of animals at a zoo in the city, while others escaped. Nigeria's foremost business mogul Aminu Ntata has donated 1.5 billion naira to victims and survivors of Maiduguri flood that affected houses and displaced over 1 million people. Trust TV's Beatrice Kuruti has these and other condolence visits of dignitaries from other parts of the country. Here's the report.
The business mogul and his entourage paid a condolence visit to the governor of Borno State following the recent flood that ravaged houses and displaced millions. Ntata lamented the economic challenges experienced in the country and called for prayers. Other politicians who visited the Maiduguri government house included the former presidential aspirant of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, who donated 50 million naira to the state government.
Borno State have witnessed this huge calamity. I think Nigeria as a country have witnessed this huge calamity. We know it's on your state and on your doors. We came here as Nigerians to condole you and sympathize and be able to find ways in which we can, as one citizens, one country, offer our own physical visit of sympathy and see ways in which we can be of help.
Meanwhile, the Northeast Development Commission (NEDC) has paid a homage and condolence visit to the Shehu of Borno and made a similar donation of 50 million to the emirate affected by the disaster. They extended their visit also to the Borno State governor, where they announced relief funds of 3 billion naira for SMEs and palliatives to cushion the effects of the flood and also help in the rehabilitation of affected structures.
The first part of the report dealt with how small businesses and MSCs were affected, because when you look at the geography of Borno State, most of the people affected are the small businesses or people who depend on self-help. After the review, the board approved that the sum of the 3 billion naira be released to the state government to be distributed to these SMEs and small businesses that were affected.
We thank you very much for coming.
Okay.
And for the contributions that you have made. But most importantly, what we need is the empathy of the sympathy. It's a concern of the board, which is beyond the monetary issues. Walk around the camps, you cannot see single person from Northeast Development Commission, from the Department of Humanitarian Affairs. Single person for the last 10 days.
The governor appreciated the gestures of Nigerians and called for more support to address the plight of victims. Bitrus Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
The Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, Nisa, says the authority of Lagdo Dam in Cameroon have informed the agency that the dam management will begin regulated water releases from Tuesday, 17th September 2024. The Director General CEO of the agency, Umar Ibrahim Mohammed, in a statement said that the water release is expected to increase gradually through the next 7 days, depending on the inflow from the upstream Garua River, which is the main feeder into the reservoir and a major contributor to the Benue River. However, the dam managers further stated that the planned water releases will be gradual in order not to exceed the conveyance capacity of the Benue River system and cause major flooding downstream Nigeria. The spilling of waters from Lagdo Dam is expected to stop as soon as there is noticeable decrease in the flow into the Lagdo Reservoir. The agency said there is no cause for alarm as major flooding are not expected downstream Nigeria as the flow levels along the River Benue are still within the warning levels. And at least 7 people have lost their lives to a cholera outbreak in Yola North local government area of Adamawa State, while 71 others have been hospitalized. The National Emergency Management Agency disclosed this in a statement shared on its X handle on Tuesday. According to NEMA, the cholera outbreak was caused by a recent flood that contaminated the community's drinking water sources. The statement added that around 100 people were also under monitoring and observation. NEMA further disclosed that it had collaborated with the state government to implement emergency measures aimed at mitigating the impact of the disease. The agency noted that they have also conducted community education to raise awareness about the disease, adding that it is closely monitoring the situation and coordinating with stakeholders for timely intervention. An elder statesman and former Chief of Defense Staff, General Theophilus Danjuma, retired, has tasked all service chiefs to end banditry and return the country to the path of peace. The retired top military brass, who decried the ongoing abduction and killing, said there are no excuses for the lingering insecurity ravaging the country. Danjuma spoke at the Armed Forces Officers Mess in Abuja during a book launch titled Big Boots: Lessons from My Military Service, authored by Solomon Odunwa, a retired Major General of the Nigerian Army. The Taraba State-born general, who was the chairman of the occasion, extolled the virtues of the author and his commitment to excellence in his military career. Responding to Danjuma's charge, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, said the military was well positioned and working tirelessly to restore peace across the country. Musa stressed that the armed forces will continue to uphold the values of service, integrity, and honor to define extreme military traditions. And at least 3 persons have been reported killed and many others kidnapped following a bandits' attack on 2 churches in Bakimpa Maru community in Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State. Eyewitnesses said the incident occurred on Sunday morning when the bandits in large numbers invaded the Ekwa and Catholic churches in the area during church services. A former chairman of Kajuru local government, Kafra Kano, said the bandits took away 30 persons, including a pastor, Bernard Gajera, from both churches. Confirming the incident, a spokesman for the Kaduna State Police Command, ASP Mansur Hassan, said 3 persons were killed by the bandits. The police spokesman said the exact number of those abducted was yet to be ascertained. He, however, said the police, in collaboration with sister agencies, have launched a manhunt for the fleeing bandits to arrest them and rescue the abducted individuals safe and alive. And similarly, assailants have killed 5 persons in Mba community of Bokos local government area of Plateau State. A press statement issued by the Bokos Cultural Development Council Vanguard and signed by the chairman, Farmasum Fudang, stated that the attack occurred on Sunday night when some youth were in transit within the local government area. According to the statement, the harmless and unarmed youth were attacked on their way from Mbartown to Ko village along a bypass encircling Yelwa Nono village by fleeing terrorists on motorcycles who were initially repelled by the military from the surrounding mountains. The group also expressed concerns over the continuous unprovoked attacks which are perceived as calculated attempts at evicting the people from their ancestral homes and taking over the land. The management of the Bokos Local Government Council, led by the Director of Personnel Management, Christy Loyi, confirmed the incident and visited the families of affected victims with assurances that security would be reinforced in the local government area. And troops of Operation Safe Haven have arrested 5 notorious gun runners and recovered arms and ammunition in an intelligence-driven operation carried out in Plateau State. A statement by the Military Public Information Officer, Operation Safe Haven, Major Stephen Jacom, on Tuesday said the feat is in pursuance of one of its core mandates of mopping up illegal arms and ammunition in the joint operations area. According to him, the operation commenced from midnight on 16th September to the early hours of 17th September 2024. He said the troops raided the hideout of a gun runner identified as Mohammed Sani at Naraguta mining area in Bayameni along Bauchi Road in Jos North local government area of Plateau State, during which the suspected gun runner and 4 others were arrested. Some of the weapons and ammunition recovered during the operations include 2 AK-47 rifles, 1 Fabrique Nationale automatic rifle, 1 14 AK-47 magazines and 1 Fabrique Nationale magazine. Other recovered items are 5,316 rounds of 7.62mm special ammunition, 98 rounds of 7.62mm NATO ammunition, and 43 rounds of 9mm ammunition.
In pursuance of one of its core mandates of mopping up illegal arms and ammunition in the joint operation areas, arrested 5 notorious gun runners and recovered arms and ammunition in an intelligence-driven operation carried out in Plateau State. In an operation that lasted from midnight of 16 September 2024 to the early hours of 17 September 2024, Operation Safe Haven Delta Force and Sector 1 troops raided the hideout of a gun runner identified as Mohammed Sani at Naraguta mining area in Bayameni along Bauchi Road in Jos North local government area of Plateau State.
Residents of Kaduna Metropolis are still groaning over the unstable price of petrol at the various stations across the state, as well the scarcity of the product, which is affecting economic activities in the state. The situation, which is also affecting commercial transport operators, is also forcing commuters in the metropolis to seek for other alternatives to save cost. Trust TV's Bello Musa went round the metropolis and sent in this report.
The situation is negatively affecting the movement of goods and services, which in turn is crippling commercial activities in Kaduna State. Motorists who cannot afford buying from black market operators are spending man-hours in long queues across the metropolis. The price of a liter here is 939 naira, and this morning I bought a liter at another filling station at the rate of 1,150 naira. In other places, it is sold at 1,250 naira and 1,300. According to tricycle owners and commercial bus drivers, the situation is posing a threat to the survival of their businesses. Before, we used to pay 2,000 naira as proceeds to the owners of the tricycles, but it has been increased to 3,500 naira per day. And for you to meet up this new rate, you must buy fuel of 12,000 naira. In a day, you will make 17,000 naira, and you spend 12,000 naira on petrol, and you give the owner 3,500 naira. Then you are left with almost nothing. In the morning, I bought a liter at the rate of 1,150 naira and made 2,000 naira from the quantity. And now I am here to buy fuel again because you can't fill the tank due to cost. We are suffering because from Maraba to Kano is now 400 naira, and in most cases passengers insisted on 3,500 naira. Today, I bought fuel of 15,000 naira, and this is just what I got, and I'm using it to buy another fuel. Alakili Road and Ahmadi Bello are the busiest roads in Kaduna metropolis. However, vehicular movement is reducing on the road due to cost of fuel, with many residents resulting to trekking to reach their destinations.
There is hike in fuel price, which has destabilized the preparation. So honestly speaking, even today I had to walk down to my office, me myself, talk less of transporting my children to school, because buying fuel at such exorbitant price, we can't afford it.
Nigerians are still hoping that the commencement of operation of Dangote refinery will bring succor to Nigerians. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
And the recent increase in fuel prices across the country has forced many private car owners to park their vehicles and switch to public transportation. In Lagos State, many private car owners, particularly those whose businesses are on the island, have turned to public transport services, while ride-hailing companies are now sticking to specific routes, as many of their customers can no longer afford the increased fares. Victoria Tokolo's report is presented from our studio.
The recent surge in fuel prices across the country has left many citizens grappling with the rising costs of commuting, forcing them to adopt new strategies to cope. This is the case in Lagos, as petrol prices have now exceeded 950 naira per litre at NEPC filling stations and reaching as high up to 1,200, 1,300 at other retail outlets, causing the financial strain to be felt across all sectors. Ride-hailing companies have been skeptical about the use of air conditioning during trips, as well as accepting long trips due to the increase in fuel prices.
And I normally go out with my car and wind down properly like other motorists. They normally wind up. They normally wind down. Many people are no longer using the AC on their various cars. So the situation is very critical. As of now, as I'm talking to you. So people are no longer owning AC in their car.
Before, I used to go to mainland very well, but for now, as at now, I cannot go to mainland as usual before. So rather, if I want to pick something in mainland, I would prefer to enter a public transport box. Then I cannot even run the AC as usual as before now. Before I buy for, if I want to go to mainland and in Ekpe or Aja before, I will buy for like 3,000, 4,000. But now is about, if I want to go to mainland, I will need to buy for like 15 to 17,000 naira now.
With intracity fares now hiked, private car owners say it is now cheaper to use public transport for their daily shuttles.
You see the fuel matter. Firstly, I'm not running the AC with the fuel because the price of the fuel is too expensive. Number two, if I'm going to Ireland, most of the time I used to enter public bus because suddenly at the rate of 950, 800, 1,000, it's too dear to buy. And if you buy it before you know the next, if you buy like 20,000 naira, can you imagine you cannot go to Aja and come back? So most of the vehicle, we used to leave our vehicle in the house and join public buses.
If I'm traveling from here to the east, from Lagos to maybe to Onitsha, I'll spend the fuel worth of almost 70, 80,000 naira. So if I enter public transport, I'll spend just like 15 to 20,000 naira. So nowadays, we prefer entering public transport than using a private car. So that fuel price is very, very affecting. It's very, very affecting. The government should look into it and see how they can come down to the price so that the individualities can use their private cars so that things can be easy for everyone.
With the number of cars on the road now significantly reduced, as more people park their cars due to fuel cost, the pressure on commercial buses, taxis, and many buses in Lagos has been increased as many scramble to get to their various destinations. How long will this continue? Only time can tell.
And patients and their relatives in Jos, the Plateau State capital, have been reacting to the surge in the prices of medications, especially prescription drugs in the area. They said the situation is gradually driving basic health care beyond the reach of ordinary Nigerians, whose earnings are no longer enough to pay for medical services as supplies. Adu Musa completes the report.
The removal of fuel subsidy came a surge in prices of goods and services across the country. This development has sparked widespread protests by millions of Nigerians who are decrying the resultant economic hardship. Patients and their relatives in Jos, the Plateau State capital, are lamenting that the situation is severely impacting their expenses, including their ability to purchase essential medications.
Magunguna kuma ba yadda ka iya siya. Ba ka da kudi ai sai dai ayi rashi kawai.
I am a patient. We cannot buy drugs at the moment. This means that if you don't have money, you simply have to suffer or even die. I remember that in the 90s, drugs were given for free, but today, that is not the case. If you don't have money, you can't treat any disease. We have left everything in God's hands.
Well, this cost of drugs is almost everywhere in just not, because if doctor prescribe the drug, to the patient, if most of them they cannot afford to buy the drugs because the drugs is very cost now.
We are really finding it very difficult to purchase drugs these days because they are very expensive. I have been managing hypertension for 3 years now, so I know what I am going through. I cannot afford my drugs anymore because they have become too expensive. I have stopped taking them because I don't have money to buy them. What impact is the current situation having on pharmacies in Jos? A pharmacist has this to say.
If you look at it from the patronage aspect, it's getting down almost every single day. People come, like on a normal day, they do come with their prescriptions. Maybe even if they can't buy all, they buy some. But now, in some essence, they just go back home with their prescriptions. They don't have money to buy.
He also spoke of the impact of expensive drugs on access to medication.
Actually, it is completely challenging the essence of the healthcare entirely, because there are some certain medications that are specific to be taken for some specific period of time, and if a customer can afford to buy for that specific period, there is no point of buying them at all.
The federal government ordered a reduction in the prices of medicine, but the directive has yet to take effect, making many wonder what the likelihood of implementing this order will be.
For the government to say that the private sector involved in production of pharmaceutical companies should bring down the price is actually not in line with the idea of a capitalist economy like our own. The only thing the government can do, since most of the generic drugs that we import are from Asia, especially India and China, all that government can do to really bring down the prices of those drugs is to reduce the import duty.
The federal government says it remains optimistic that Nigerians' future in the health sector will be one to reckon with. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
And the Lagos State government has said that there is no going back on the proposed increase in the boarding fees in its model colleges. Over the weekend, parents of boarding students in the different model colleges in the state staged a protest kicking against the proposed increase in school fees. In a statement released on Tuesday, the Deputy Director of Public Affairs in the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, Ganu Lawal, said the increase in boarding fees is inevitable as it will ensure that students are well catered for while in school. Lawal noted that students in the boarding schools were over 1% of the entire basic and secondary school student population in public schools in the state. According to Lawal, the 35,000 naira boarding fees being paid since 2021 is not realistic in 2024. The Lagos State government recently approved the upward review of boarding fees payable in all public boarding schools in Lagos State. The newly approved fee is 100,000 naira only and starts from the ongoing session, which commenced on September 15, 2024.
We are at Zamara right now. Can you see people? A lovely parents are there fighting for their child, fighting for the satanic barbaric idea by Lagos State government. It has to stop. Nobody going to pay 100,000 naira. We are there now. Nobody going to pay 100,000 naira.
You're watching the news hour on Trust Television. Coming up shortly. Reactions trail disconnection of SIM cards yet to be linked to national identification numbers. This and of course much more after the break. Join us again. Thanks for staying with the news hour on Trust Television. Here's a recap of our top stories again. 5 rescued, 9 dead in Zamara boat tragedy. And Borno warns against eating vegetables from flooded, contaminated areas. Into other stories now, the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, has endorsed Rivers State Governor Siminala Ifubara as the leader of the party in the state. The delegation, led by the legal advisor of the party, Kamaluddin Ajibade Adeyemi SAN, stated this during a closed-door meeting which lasted about 3 hours at the government house in Bauchi. The chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, Bala Mohammed, who presided over the meeting, said no party member can be in PDP and at the same time be in the APC. Bala added that deliberations at the meeting focused on resolving many issues of concern in the party at the national level and reshaping the core values of good governance and respect for the rule of law. The governor noted that the delegation of NWC gave the full support of the position of the Governors Forum on River State crisis, that the governor remained the substantive leader of the party.
We collectively agreed the need for rule of law, and the delegation gave their firm commitment or support to the position of the Nigerian Governors Forum, PDP, on River State, where we have an established practice in which any governor in any state that is coming from the party is the leader of the party and would therefore have the structure of the party for sustainability. That commitment on behalf of the Governors Forum, we are very grateful to the National Working Committee, ably led by the legal advisor.
Surviving as a widow in Nigeria comes with challenges, especially in some parts of the country, due to certain traditions that deprive women of homes, agricultural land and other assets, which limit the ability of widows to become economically secure, especially when there are children in the picture. This is the story of a 40-year-old Gombe widow, Habiba Abdullahi, who works as a domestic staff to take care of her 10 children. Despite having something to rely on, Habiba is not able to feed her children regularly, nor enroll them in school, let alone get a place to call home. Hassan Kuli has details.
Habiba and her 8 children used to live in this house at Hayindogo community in Gombe before it collapsed at the onset of the rainy season, which is about 6 months ago, rendering her homeless. This is in addition to the pain endured for over 6 years since the death of her husband, as she had to take the responsibility of the children.
I gave birth to 12 children, including twins, twice. 2 have passed on, while 2 were living in the ruins of our collapsed house here. when I'm squatting with the other 8 in our neighborhood. We were living here before it collapsed. Life has not been easy since my husband died 6 years ago. Now I am working as a housemaid to feed my children. I send some of them to work at rice mills for us to have a little food to eat. That is how we're managing now.
Having been sheltered by one of her neighbors, Habiba wakes up every morning worrying about how to feed her children, provide them with a sound education, as well as how to rebuild her dilapidated house.
My concern is to rebuild our house so that I can bring my children together again. Secondly, I am appealing to the public-spirited Nigerians to support us with food of any type to enable us survive the economic hardship. In the aspect of school, one private school prepared to enroll 2 of my children, while the elderly ones are struggling to sponsor themselves. For the others, I cannot enroll them due to my condition. As we are talking now, they are at a rice mills trying to gather what they can cook, and that depends on if they are lucky enough to get it. Our lives are pathetic and we require urgent attention in this regard. I often hear that the government is distributing palliatives to the needy, but I have never received even a sachet of detergent.
Women groups says the government needs to re-strategize its ways of empowering women, saying they are receiving numerous hardship complaints from women on a daily basis, especially widows.
There are a lot of complaints from women presently due to the economic condition of the country. These complaints from both married, single and even widow. We try our best to give widows the necessary support they needed to the best of our capacity. However, the government has to prioritize empowering women with skills and not food only or money. Because when you give them food, they will still come back tomorrow, contrary to the skills that will sustain them forever.
Habiba's story echoes the growing ever challenge of most households living below the poverty line in Nigeria, especially widows, and the need to come to their aid. From Gombe, Hassan Koli reporting for Trust TV.
Oh, there you have it. And also, in a major move to enhance security and streamline telecom services, mobile lines not linked to national identification numbers are set to be disconnected. The initiative aims to boost network integrity, curb fraud, and improve regulatory oversight. Users who don't update their NIN risk losing access to services. Trust TV's Dorcas Yakubu spoke with Abuja residents and a communications expert on the matter. Take a look.
Telecom companies are set to disconnect mobile lines not linked to national identification numbers (NINs) as part of efforts to boost security and streamline services. The Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) gave a September 14, 2024 deadline for users to link their SIMs to NINs, stressing the importance of this measure in reducing fraud and cybercrime. A telecoms expert noted that the disconnections will occur in batches, highlighting the necessity of the move.
There are individual, and I think what the MNOs are doing, they are doing a systemic targeted approach. So there are individuals, they are selecting in batches and they are suspending, unlike the previous one where they did millions almost all together. We keep clamoring about security. We keep talking about government not doing enough to address kidnapping and what have you. These are part of the measures government is taking.
Regarding disconnections, even after linking SIMs to NINs, the expert attributed the issue to conflicting data during SIM registration.
There are instances where somebody will do the name pairing and it will not work. Do you know why that happens? It's simply because right from the person that registered the number and the person that is trying to do the name pairing are two different people. So in that regard, you have to go physically to the office, the telecom operator's office, and then check to see whose name is there.
Some Abuja residents have compiled with the NCC's directive, viewing this development as a step toward a more secure and well-regulated telecommunications environment.
So immediately they just sensitize people about it,
I went ahead and get my lines linked. Following the ugly trends we have here in the country, insecurity and all whatnot. So definitely it's very, very important you link your lines.
My line cannot be blocked because I am conscious of my line, because I'm a businessman. My phone is my office. So if you block my line, which means you have blocked my office, you have closed my office. So I don't allow my phone to my line to be blocked.
For Deacon Favor, the SIM and NIN linkage came at a price of 3,000 naira.
It cost me money, about 3,000. 3,000. Most people don't even know. They are not aware because about 60% of Nigerians are illiterate. And unless they are told, and most people now, because of the banking procedures, you go to the counters to withdraw money, they don't go to the banks, so they don't even know what's happening there. So it's very difficult for them to know unless they are compelled. And that is what they are trying to do by compelling them to go and do what they are supposed to do.
The move by telecom companies to disconnect lines not linked to national identification numbers is a crucial step in enhancing security and telecom integrity. By enforcing this linkage, authorities aim to reduce fraud, ensure accurate data, and improve network management. Users must update their information promptly to avoid service disruptions and comply with new regulations. This initiative marks a significant shift towards a more secure and efficient telecom infrastructure, benefiting both users and service providers. Dorcas Yakubu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, the ICPC, has arrested a former Kaduna State Commissioner for Finance and Accountant General, Shiza Joy Nasara Bada. She was apprehended at the Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos by the Anti-Graft Agency while attempting to leave the country on Sunday. Her arrest is linked to growing concerns about potential corruption involving officials from former Governor El-Rufai's administration. Intelligence reports prompted the ICPC to monitor Bada's movement, suspecting she might flee to avoid investigation. The investigation forms part of a broader effort to scrutinize individuals who served under former Governor El-Rufai as the former governor himself faces allegations of financial misconduct, including the misappropriation of over 400 billion. The Kaduna State House of Assembly recently indicted El-Rufai for allegedly embezzling about 423 billion from the state treasury. Though the exact charges against Bada have not yet been disclosed, insiders believe they involve significant financial irregularities and misappropriation of public funds. As you're watching the News Hour on Trust Television, more news. It's still the News Hour on Trust Television. Let's now join Yusuf Akogu for the business news.
Welcome to Business News. I am Yusuf Akogu. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has reaffirmed that its ways and means advances to the federal government will continue to be maintained at 5% threshold for the fiscal years 2024 to 2025. This is according to the Monetary, Credit, Foreign Trade and Exchange Rate Guidelines for the years 2024-2025 released by the CBN on Tuesday. According to the guidelines, the CBN can advance up to 5% of the previous year's actual collected revenue to the federal government, which must be repaid within the year to prevent long-term fiscal burden. The CBN further clarified that the advances will be determined by recognizing the sub-accounts of the various ministries, departments, and agencies linked to the Consolidated Revenue Fund. The Senate and House of Representatives recently passed a bill to increase the percentage of ways and means loans the Central Bank of Nigeria can give to the federal government. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission on Monday disclosed that no fewer than 13,000 meters have been earmarked for the people of Kogi State in 2024. The NEC Commissioner in charge of Consumer Affairs, Aisha Mahmoud, disclosed this in Lokoja at the Customer Complaint Resolution meeting organized by the body in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency, NOA. The Commissioner stressed that it was the duty of the AEDC to provide meters free to customers, even as she assured the electricity consumers of the readiness of the Commission to address complaints. She urged consumers of electricity in the nation to exercise their rights and obligations in order for them to enjoy unrestrained electricity supply from the service providers. The Managing Director of AEDC say the meeting was put together to address complaints from customers to enable the company serve them better. Now let's see the global stock market and exchange rate data for today. Oil prices edge up in waves of trade on Tuesday as focus turned to the U.S. Federal Reserve policy meeting that concludes on Wednesday, while fear of weaker demand in China curbed gains. At the London market, Brent sells for $72 per barrel. For the OPEC basket, dealers offer $72 per barrel. And that's business. I am Yusuf Akogun.
Thanks to Yusuf for the business news. And to news away from Nigeria, gunmen attacked a military police base early on Tuesday in the Malian capital, Bamako, where gunfire and explosions were heard and the airport was closed. Volleys of gunfire interspersed with explosion began at around 5 o'clock, with black smoke seen rising from an area near the airport. A witness said he and other worshippers were stuck in a mosque near the area during early morning prayers. The French high school, Libert, announced it would remain closed due to external events, which, while staff at the United Nations mission in Mali received a message urging them to limit movement until further notice. The death toll from massive flooding in Myanmar in the wake of Typhoon Yagi has doubled to 226. It's now time for sports, and we have Adeni Yajishafe standing by for updates.
The Minister of Sport Development, Senator John Owa-Eno, has expressed his admiration with the impressive display of talent at the ongoing National Youth Games in Asaba. Eno praised the young athletes, highlighting the extraordinary potential being unearthed at this year's event. Among the young shining star is Isabella Chichado, the youngest female chess player in Nigeria. At 8 years old, Chichado represents Kogi State in chess, having developed a passion for the game at the tender age of 3. Senator Eno lauded Ichado's achievement, emphasizing the importance of identifying and supporting such talents at an early stage. The minister reiterated the ministry's commitment to developing grassroots sport and ensuring that platforms like the National Youth Games continue to serve as breeding grounds for the next generation of national champions. 2024 National Youth Games has unveiled rising stars that represent Nigeria on global stage in the future. And in basketball, following her superlative performance in the Under-18 Afro-Basket Championship in Pretoria, South Africa, Nigerian's Junior D Tigress star Iduba Mobegi has been named in the All-Star team. Junior D Tigress reached the final of the championship with Begi stamping her authority in every game. The organizer of the championship announced the list of the All-Star team of the tournament with Begi among them. Championship winners Mali have 2 players, Ama Sidiki Doumbia and Omar Komari, while Cameroon and Angola have 1 player each in the person of Damaris Emede and Resti Nagwe. In football, the coach of the Amavubis of Rwanda, Thorsten Frank Spitzler, has tipped Nigeria Super Eagles to emerge as Group D winner. The 3-time African champions are currently leading the group with 4 points, while Benin, Rwanda and Libya occupy the 2nd to 4th spot, respectively. The German coach made it clear that he believes Super Eagles will top the group. He also said Benin Republic and Rwanda will fight for 2nd place. Rwanda has never appeared at the African Cup of Nations tournament since 2004. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
And with that, we have come to the end of the news hour. Please do well to follow us across all of our social platforms and also catch our live stream on YouTube for more news programs and also documentaries. My name is Sakir Ibrahim, and on behalf of the crew, good night.